Hello, welcome to the Systems Engineering Lab course, where we'll be learning methodologies and tools that will help us to model our problematic situations that we can identify at any company. Today, in this video, we'll be talking about how to make a good diagnosis of a problematic situation. But let's first begin with a reflection. Somebody sometimes said that defining a problem correctly put us half a way to solving it. We need, first of all, to have a specific definition of the problem that we have in front of us. Why is this? Because if not, all roads lead to Rome. And in a trouble situation, this is dangerous. This will mean that any course of action will solve the problem, and that's wrong. That's a wrong assumption. So what can we do? We can use some different tools that together put it together will give us a small methodology to define a problem. And this is by performing some nominal groups techniques, such as brainstorming, affinity diagram, relational diagram, and the problem definition. In the first part of the video, I'm going to explain each of these concepts. And in the second part, we are going to do an example to better understand the first part. So first of all, brainstorming. I think we are all familiar with this concept. And it's a group technique that helps us to generate original ideas in a relaxed environment. Idea writing is an idea generation technique that focuses on the thinking and experience of a large group without the risk of generating the negative group dynamics that generally occur when large groups discuss a complex and or a controversial topic in a session. This is why we use brainstorming. So we can safely a group of ideas that help us to better understand a situation. Why is it useful? Because it unleashes creativity, it generates a large number of ideas, it involves us in a situation, and it identifies opportunities for the improvement. What limits it? The starting question. What you are going to ask is what the people is going to answer. So you should think real carefully what are you going to ask your group. The knowledge that we have on the subject. So you have to be sure that the people that it's going to take part in the activity, in the brainstorming activity, really has the knowledge needed to answer the question that you are going to give them. The time that we have, and we need to consider that we need to have an individual exercise, a part of the situation where you individually generate your ideas, the amount of people that are going to conform the group, and not to have paralysis by analysis. And this means that we have time, it's a restriction of the activity. So you cannot be talking a lot about a specific topic without having a solution of it. We need to end in the definition of a problem, not just explaining your ideas and why you said that and why I'm not sure that it's a correct way of expressing a problem. The time here is for generating the ideas. There will be a time in the agenda for other activities, such as the affinity diagram, the relational diagram, that will help us define the problem. So we need to be very efficient in the generating of these ideas, and we need to keep track of time and not to develop large explanations for our ideas. We need to express our ideas in a manner that everybody can understand them and we do not need to explain them. There, after we have the affinity diagram, uh, sorry, after we have the brainstorming, we need to group the ideas. And for that purpose, we need an affinity diagrams that synthesize a data set of opinions, themes, or expressions. It groups them based on their relationship to each other. It is based on the affinity of the data, bringing it together under a few general ideas. So from the brainstorming, we are going to have a large amount of ideas. The affinity diagram is going to group those ideas by relation, and there will be a small groups of those, and then we are going to be able to relate those groups of ideas. When are we going to use them? When a problem is hard to understand, appears disorganized, or it requires the participation and supports of a whole team. Then we are going to the relational diagram. It allows us to obtain an overview of the complexity of a problem. It represents causes in relation to certain effects and how different sets of causes and effects are related to each other. So we began with a brainstorming, then we group those ideas, and now we're going to relate them to express which of those ideas causes the other. When to use? To understand and clarify the interrelationships between different points of a complex problem, and to identify key points to expand the investigation. And last but not least, the problem definition. It is expressing a problem situation in a concrete way that everyone can understand. And that's the main objective of a diagnosis, to have a specific problem situation defined so we can solve it. In this video, we are not going to see how to solve it. We are going to see how to define it. So first of all, you ask the people, why do they think the problem is a problem? Then we have a great group of ideas that represent the main experience of the group. Then in the affinity diagram, we from that large group of ideas, we group them into 5 to 10 groups, and then we relate them. And in the relation of cause effect, we are going to be able to define the problem. But this is just talk. Now let's move into an example of how we can go from the brainstorming to the problem definition, going through the affinity diagram and the relational diagram. The starting question was, in an exercise, what are the factors that can prevent the establishment of a company in someone who intends to do so? So you are an entrepreneur, but not all of the entrepreneurs accomplish their ideas. They establish a business. Many of them are lost in that process of establishing an entrepreneurial idea. So what makes them not do so? In the exercise of brainstorming, these were the ideas. Lack of creativity, not having enough will, not having innovation, weather, money, the market is not interested, strong and established competitors, not having enough or the proper workforce, not having entrepreneurship networks, fear to fail, the advertising does not reach the customer, there is no leadership and experience, I just want to entrepreneur, but I'm not a leader, and bureaucratic processes for the registration of a company. This was the result of the brainstorming exercise with the groups of entrepreneurs. When we grouped this idea, we got 6 groups. Those ideas were grouped into 6. the internal aspects of a person, where we group the innovation, the fear to fail, the creativity, the innovation, the lack of resources, the bad projection, having no leadership and experiences, strong and established competitors, and bureaucratic processes for registering a company. These are just the groups. But then we relate those groups just by asking the group which of them causes the other. For example, at the beginning, we only have this set of groups. And we started by asking the group, do the internal aspects of a person causes the lack of resources, or the lack of resources causes the internal aspect of a person? For example, not having innovation, having fear to fail, not being creative enough causes that we don't have enough money, that the workforce is not well equipped, or that we do not have entrepreneurial work, or otherwise. In this exercise, the group decided that the lack of resources causes the internal aspects of the person. So the arrow goes from 2 to 1, representing that number 2 causes number 1. Then we make the same question with number 1 and number 3. The number 1 causes number 3, or the number 3 causes number 1. There is never the case where they cause each other, because that will have a cycle that we don't need in this analysis. In the beginning of times, one of them was not existent, but the other caused it. So we need to go to the egg and the hen analysis. Which was first, the egg or the hen? In this case, we need to do so. So we have a real relational diagram that get us into defining the problem. Then we do the same analysis of 1 with 1 and 4, 1 and 5, and 1 and 6. And there is the option of not having a relationship. So we can ask, do internal aspects of a person cause bureaucratic process, or bureaucratic processes causes the internal aspects of the person? We can say that there is no relationship there, so there is no arrow. So we have three options. One causes the other causes the first, or there is no relation. And by experience, I have a rule, and I name it the 3 seconds rule. If in 3 seconds you are not having an answer, then the group is saying that there is no relation. So you make the question, you wait 1, 2, 3, no answer, then no arrow, no relation. Okay? So what can we do with this diagram? But we ask the questions with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we take number 2. We don't do the question with 1 because I already did it. So I ask, do 2 causes 3, or 3 causes 2, or there is no relation? The same with 4, 5, and 6. Then when I go to 3, I don't go back to 2. I start with 3 and 4, 3 and 5, 3 and 6, and 4 and 5, 4 and 6, 5 and 6. And that's the analysis. And that's the result of the analysis, these arrows that I have. But this is just arrows going from one place to another. What do I need to do to have a better understanding of a situation? I need to do this table where I have the aspects, the 6 group of ideas, how many in arrows, and how many out arrows do I have. So number 1 has 3 ins, 2 outs. Number 2, 1 in, 2 outs. Number 3, 3 in, 0 outs. Number 4, 1 in, 2 outs. Number 5, 0 ins, 1 out. And number 6, 0 ins and 1 out. You'll notice that I have put into red those that don't have any ins and those that don't have any outs. This is because of those who don't have any ins means that nobody else causes those ideas. Nobody causes strong and established competitors. Nobody causes bureaucratic process for registering the company from these ideas. No other ideas causes this. So these are the main causes of the problem. And that one of no outs, it's the main consequence. So when you are trying to solve a problem, you are going to focus on the aspects that had no ins. For example, you are going to work in strong and established competitors, how to break that problem, how to solve that problem. You are going to work in bureaucratic processes for registering a company. How are you going to solve that? And by doing so, you are going to start like a snowball, see, a small snowball that will keep on rolling until you have a big ball that is going to solve all of your problems. And of course, it is easier to say than done, but you need to start by something. Most of us are going to start by focusing on the back projection because that's what defines the problem, but that's where we see the problem, not where we are going to start the solution of it. For solving the back projection, we need to start by having solutions to the strong and established competitors and by bureaucratic processes for registering the company. So finally, we define the problem, and entrepreneurs do not realize their entrepreneurial ideas due to the poor projection of them. That is the problem that we identify. But if we want to solve it, as we are going to see in the next video, we need to start thinking about the causes of that problem. Number 5 and number 6 in this specific exercise. Okay, so we'll leave this video right here. Thank you very much. And I hope that you find this interesting for you.